What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about Aurora Cannabis and Aphria and whether I think either one of these companies are a buy. So both these companies have gotten really beat up, especially in the last week. So we're going to analyze the charts for both these companies and we're going to take a look at both of them and determine whether I think they're a buy or a sell. But before you get this video started, leave me some comments in the comment section. Let me know your opinions on Aurora Cannabis, whether you guys are buying, selling, or holding onto your shares. Also, don't forget, give me a thumbs up, hit that notification bell, smash that subscribe button, and let's get this video started. So let's get this video started by looking at Aurora Cannabis charts. First, we're going to be looking at the American charts and then the Canadian charts. So as you can see right here, before I previously had an $8 support line drawn in for Aurora Cannabis. From the looks of it, it looks like we gapped down all the way down to $7.59. So as you can see right here, we have a nice little gap from $8 all the way down to $7.84. But what usually happens with gaps is they get filled. So I won't be surprised to see Aurora fill this gap, possibly come back up to this $8, which was a previous support, and start using it as a resistance. So now what we might see with Aurora Cannabis, we hit this line right here, which was previously acting as a support, and now it's going to be a resistance. So now Aurora's new objective is to try to break above this $8 resistance line, which is not guaranteed because right now there's a lot of downward momentum for Aurora Cannabis. We're going to look more at different charts, but first let's look at the Canadian prices real quick. So it's almost the same thing for the Canadian prices. We see a little gap down. We had a support here at $10.75. We gapped down all the way to $10.60, currently downtrending for Aurora Cannabis. If we look at the 5-minute charts, we can kind of see a support here that we bounced off here at around $10.20, and we're kind of using $10.20 as a support. Same thing, gap down, might get filled. $10.75, which was a previous support, could possibly start acting as a resistance. So what we want to see is Aurora hopefully fill this gap and break past this resistance. But if Aurora doesn't do that and Aurora continues to downtrend, we possibly could see Aurora head down to $9 Canadian, and then we're going to look at American. And in American prices, we could possibly see Aurora head down to $7 American. And this $7 line right here could possibly start acting as the new support. So now we're going to look at these charts right here, and it's going to show that there's really no indications of Aurora Cannabis recovering right now. We have the Bollinger Bands and the 50-day moving average crossing here, and it's showing a downtrend. I would like to see these lines cross again to show us that we're going to have a reversal and Aurora can start uptrending. And then if you look at the MACD lines as well, it does not look like there's a buy signal. We crossed here and then continued to downtrend. From the looks of it right now, everything is looking downwards for Aurora Cannabis. So the real question is, should you buy Aurora Cannabis at $7.59 American, at $10.27 Canadian? So there's no right or wrong answer for this. For me, I personally won't be buying because my Canadian position for Aurora Cannabis is less than $7.50. My buying position would be below $8, but possibly in American, I did tell myself that if Aurora went below $8 American, I would start a position. But the thing is, I'm not buying with the mindset that once I buy these shares, they're going to immediately pop up. In my head, there's also a possibility that it can continue to downtrend. So I'm buying, probably starting a small position. If it goes back down to $7, I'll start a small position, and I would be prepared to average down. So I can continue to average down. Let's say if it goes to $6.50, I'll continue to average down at $6. At $6, if Aurora does go back down to $6 American, at that point I do consider it a strong buy. My red lines are always strong buys, but that's if Aurora continues to downtrend. Another thing we have to take into consideration is the rest of the markets. The markets have been very red lately. Everything's down. It's not just the pot sector, it's not just tech stocks. The S&P 500 is down, Dow 30 is down, Nasdaq's down, Russell 2000 crude oil is down. Everything is down. You look at tech stocks like Apple, Tesla, all these companies, they're all down. So it's not just the pod sector. There's a lot of trade tension going on with China and US, and it has negatively affected the markets. Now we're going to go straight to articles for Aurora Cannabis. It is looking pretty positive when you're looking at news for Aurora Cannabis. So right here we have Aurora Cannabis profitability in the next 4 quarters, which really sounds like amazing news. If Aurora Cannabis can actually be profitable for 4 quarters in a row, I think that would greatly impact the stock. So let's say we bought at $7.50 or $7 and Aurora had profitable quarters for 4 quarters in a row, which is pretty much 1 year straight Aurora was profitable. I would not be surprised to see Aurora Cannabis break its new all-time highs, which would mean Aurora Cannabis would head back above $12 American. But that's all speculation. Nothing is guaranteed. We're going to take a look at this article real quick where they talk about what to expect in the next 4 quarters for Aurora Cannabis. So Aurora Cannabis is expected to report sales of $577 million, which is a 243% increase year over year. However, the growth isn't expected to translate into profits in the near term. So Aurora Cannabis is expected to report net losses of 146 million Canadian dollars over the next 4 quarters. The net losses are expected to be better than the net losses in the last 4 quarters of 436 million Canadian dollars. So in the last 4 quarters, Aurora Cannabis made significant investments which weighed down its profitability. The situation is expected to get better in the next 4 quarters, with sequential losses getting smaller. Investors are focused on the earnings. The earnings will likely remain highly volatile for the cannabis industry. As a result, there isn't a clear leader in the cannabis industry, which is very true. In the past year, pretty much even prior to legalization, Aurora Cannabis has been buying companies left, right, and center. They've been diluting a whole bunch of shares, and it has really costed the company and costed us as a shareholder. So hopefully now Aurora has built the foundation for the company. Now that they have all the pieces together, they could finally prove that all that money they spent on acquiring and growing their company was not for no reason. So Aurora does have a lot to prove, especially within the next year. Cam Batley himself has said that they expect to be positive EBITDA in the next quarter. So we're definitely going to have to be patient and wait for the next earnings and see whether they're actually profitable, which would be a very good first step. So now right here we have ranking Canada's top 10 marijuana growers. So we're just going to look at the 10 cannabis companies, and from 1 to 10 we're going to look at the 10 biggest growers, and it's not going to be surprising to find out which company was number 1, because of course it's Aurora Cannabis, which approximately 662,000 kilos. We're going to move to number 2, which is Canopy Growth at 500 to 550,000 kilos. Number 3, Aphria, 255,000 kilos. CanTrust is at number 4 at 200,000 to 300,000 kilos. The Green Organic Dutchman, 219,000 kilos. Hexo, 150,000 kilos. Alephia, 138,000 kilos. Zenabis, 131,000 kilos. Kronos, 117,000 kilos. I'm surprised to see Kronos so low in this list, considering they're one of the highest market caps. Organogram at 113,000 kilos, and there you have it. Those are the top 10. Now I have a pretty decent position in Aphria, and I picked up some Aphria shares pretty much when they got short attacked. Aphria's past is problematic, but the worst of the storm seems to be over. The company remains in an excellent position to capitalize on Canada's rapidly growing cannabis market, and its promising Germany subsidiary provides a lead into even more valuable European market. Bottom line, Aphria's dirt cheap valuation arguably isn't warranted based on how things have progressed since this short seller report hit the street a few months ago. Bargain hunters in kind might want to dig deeper into this compelling growth story before the market realizes its mistake. So from the looks of it, Aphria is a buy. Do I consider Aphria a buy? I personally won't be buying Aphria, but that's only because I already have them at a better price. So I'm not the type of investor that likes to average up my price. I own Aphria at around $8.50 a share. So if Aphria drops below that, I'll definitely be picking up some more Aphria shares. If or when Aphria breaks below this line right here, this red line, which is below $8.70, I will definitely be considering buying some more Aphria shares. And since this is a video of Aurora Cannabis, we're going to go into an article which is 3 great reasons to buy Aurora Cannabis. And we're just going to skim by all these reasons. So number 1, a massive addressable market. We're going to go straight to number 2, which is an industry leading scale. and they're talking about the amount of cannabis they could produce, which is more than 625,000 kilograms of cannabis annually by 2020. Number 3, Aurora is less likely to be acquired, because when a business purchases another company, it typically needs to pay a substantial premium in order to entice its shareholders to accept the deal. But while this can produce significant short-term gains for the acquired company's investors, it can come at an expense of potentially far larger long-term gains. This is perhaps one of the reasons Aurora Cannabis has resisted selling a large equity stake to a bigger business as its rivals Canopy Growth and Cronos Group have done. So perhaps most importantly, by remaining independent, Aurora Cannabis is positioning itself and its shareholders to capture a larger share of the company's value creation in the years ahead. As such, investors seeking to profit from long-term growth of the cannabis market are likely best served by buying shares in Aurora Cannabis rather than Canopy or Cronos. And we're going to end this video off with an interesting video, which is why pro athletes are flocking to CBD, from Lamar Odom to Bubba Watson, which clearly this is really positive news for the cannabis sector, especially for companies that are looking to enter in the CBD industry.
Okay, let's shift gears just a little bit, because we have had so many guests on all our live shows over the last few months talking about CBD, that is products derived from cannabidiol. We've had CEOs, investors, and also pro athletes, golfer Bubba Watson, MMA fighter Rampage Jackson, and another big CBD fan is former NBA star Lamar Odom. I sat down with him yesterday, and CBD was one of the many topics he was eager to discuss.
I have my own CBD line. It's called Odom 7, and it's under a brand called Hemp Lucid, which I'm proud of. I don't know. CBD is a miracle drug. It's a drug that I'm proud to say that I partake in every day. It helps me with my anxiety. And anxiety for me was big because it led to poor decision making. And so for me to be able to curb that, it's important. Any kind of ailment you may have, whether it's dry skin, to a scrape, to a cut, any inflammation you may have in your body, your joints, bones, take a drop, put it on wherever you want to take it, and it heals right up.
Wow, it heals right up. And he calls it a miracle drug. That sounded to me a little too far. I mean, of course he's trying to sell his product, but this is so interesting to me. I mean, the whole CBD explosion, it's legitimately interesting to me. Right. I'll tell you why. I still think that the industry, maybe the industry is to blame for not labeling the products clearly, but I still think it's confusing, and that the average person, even if they're interested in, oh, CBD gummy, I'll try that, I don't think the average person knows still exactly what the effect is supposed to be, what it will be, depending on whether you take a gummy, take a pill, rub oil on you, whatever it is.
Well, there's been no real FDA tests done on that, but I do think that the potential for the use of CBD with athletes is really interesting space to watch. I think it was last week we were talking about the partnership that the UFC has with Canopy, and so clearly there's a lot of opportunities there, and I wonder if Lamar Odom is trying to tap into that side of thing and sort of instead of the average consumer. Did he talk about that at all?
Well, I asked him there, I mean, why are athletes so drawn to it? And he just says it helps with everything. I mean, I was rewatching some of the clips from other athletes that we've had on this very show in the last few weeks talking about CBD, and that MMA fighter, Rampage Jackson, he fights for the Bellator series. I mean, he was saying, I take all of it. He said, I eat the gummies, I take the supplements, I rub the oil, I do the cream, and all of it is great and helps. And it's just funny because to hear some of these guys tell it, it's like an amazing magical cure. Now, we had one of the company's CBD MD bring in gummies, and I wanted to try it, and I took a gummy. It's like, I felt nothing all. Now, I know it's not supposed to get you high, it's supposed to mellow you out. It's what, no.
Well, there's no THC in it.
I would love to see a mellow and chilled out Dan.
It doesn't exist, but I'm not sure that a person, you're right, it's interesting for athletes. It's less interesting to me for just a normal loser like one of us to take the gummies. What's the effect supposed to be?
I was going to say yes until you said loser.
Yeah, I know.
But no, I think that's probably the first use case. If you want to talk about not mass use, but with athletes. There's so many athletes, as you point out, that have already bought into it. Once some of these leagues okay it, legalize it, and once there are tests that are being done, maybe there's a lot of potential there.
Well, and one of the guys, Bubba Watson, the golfer, was saying that there's no issue with drug testing, so it's fine. I mean, maybe they haven't expressly said that it's fine, but it's certainly not a banned substance, the CBD.
Alternative pain therapy is huge, especially considering the giant opiate crisis we have going on.
Well, there you have it. CBD, the miracle drug, according to Lamar Odom. I just think it's a really good thing that pro athletes are starting to catch on to this CBD trend, and I think this could really benefit companies like Aurora Cannabis, especially since they did just do a partnership with the UFC. I hope and expect to see other pro leagues like the NBA, NFL, etc. to hopefully jump on this CBD trend, which I do think can help a lot of these cannabis companies. Anyways, let me know your thoughts and your opinions on Aurora and Aphria, whether you consider one of those companies or none of them a buy. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget, give me a thumbs up, hit that notification bell, smash that subscribe button, and that's it for now, guys. Bye-bye.